club movie. Flawless. I dropped the token into the recording machine and we're ready to record. Hey, welcome back to another episode. Justin. I've got a bunch of things I want to cover before we get into the episode, and I'll do it as quick as possible. Plenty to cover before we get into this episode. I'd like to say a few important notes. I've definitely struggled during these times with my own challenges. I'm well aware and very much capable of understanding that others out there are also struggling and going through challenges. I continue to focus on mental wellness during the time of recording and looking forward to the beyond. I want to make a note. Please reach out by searching. I suggest using your feelings as search terms. Reach out to your friends. Dive into something creative and be sure to get fresh air and plenty of water. No joke. The movie covered tonight has very little natural light and grass, where our footsteps tonight will be a reflection of basic needs to stay healthy. Find your patch of grass to be your very best diamond gem. An important but quick shout out to Canada and the Canadian listeners and the Canadian content makers I plug into. I am elbows out with support for you. 2 pods to check out if you are interested, No Such Thing as a Bad Movie, and Vulgar History, to quote Ann Foster on her recent episode, Pants on, Tits out, Elbows up. A second quick shout out goes to John G. He sent me a selection of his artwork, and I will repeat, to check out his work on Insta or see him as he travels this spring and summer. Enchanting Stranger. I'm your host, Justin, the bongo dog eating VHS. Okay, let's get into this episode. Gulp. I missed some notes when I covered Desperately Seeking Susan, and I wanted to cover that at the top of this episode. The director, Susan Seidelman, was among a unique era of creators. We must highlight makers who are marginalized voices and underserved in the industry they cover, such as female directors, also female cinematographers and editors, writers, list goes on and on and on. But here are some female directors to look into, and I didn't get to cover that on the Desperately Seeking Susan episode. I really should have. Catherine Bigelow, Penelope Spheris, Amy Heckerling, Cassie Lemons, who did Eve's Bayou, and she was an actress in Movie Club Movies legend, Vampire's Kiss. She's in the OG Candyman, and Cassie Lemons is also used a female cinematographer, Amy Vincent. For conversation, the greats, Martha Coolidge, Nora Ephron, Penny Marshall, Elaine May. And I just checked out an interview that's from recent times with Elaine May from the TCM YouTube channel. I do suggest it. Any content Elaine May is giving her take on things is worth a viewing. Great segue, because tonight's movie we cover Demi Moore, who won the Golden Globe this year for her lead in The Substance. However, she did not win the Oscar for lead actress, losing to Mickey Madison for Anora. I was hoping to see tonight's iconic actor win. However, it is still an important win for an upcoming impactful actress. Jokingly,
I wonder if she's in the new movie coming out, Mickey 17, because as I saw her win and saw the content of highlighting this person, I also was injected with adverts for this new movie, Mickey 17.
Coincidence or just a comedy? TMCMS will continue to focus on marginalized voices, specifically in creative industries. An important note to make about covering and highlighting the talented Demi Moore is to explain that her longevity is something special. She has been challenged early in her life, early in her professional career, and also when being publicly spoken of. A movie role like Laura Quinn in tonight's movie is also a moment to highlight the challenges of gender experiences in the workplace. The times and how changes should be made ASAP, and those are in motion now. After understanding the extensive professionalism of our lead actor here, the subject of Flawless is to be weighed by us, the audience, as we watch our leads silently process the subtle and obvious doubt of ethics. This side of the industry we see in the story are in reality suspect to a high level, to the level of respect humanity and value. I am someone who can understand why something is wrong and will constantly have these thoughts weighing on my mind. I also could be restricting understanding while I focus on work. It is simply relatable to me to say, if you speak up or leave your work because of ethics, What happens to your income in the context of her times? And there is so much to that. And silently, this movie is asking us, the audience, as well as bringing this dilemma on mute silently to our lead character, Miss Laura Quinn. In addition, instantly, you will notice, besides cis white males and women, are our only representation. A gray area for age. And also, there's just not a lot of representation at all in this movie. It cannot be overlooked. When this movie takes place, of course, there's an outright systematic racism throughout the culture, society, and offices from floor to ceiling. We do not see this in this movie. We must first see that its absence is actually enough to fill the space. It's there because these faces and bodies are not marginalized. It is the political attitudes that are an element of the narrative, but also is running underneath the narrative, which could be magical in the way the film rolls out. Second, what I think the footing of the movie is actually from the heels to top bun. Because is this film narrative expressing the marginalization, the lack of weight given to most every female, but also our hero, Demi, and that she will be climbing the ladder from the bottom up consistently no matter where her desk sits. And also, with her, she remains single, adding a bit more prejudice and society standing. Once again in those damn heels of hers. I unintentionally channeled NatalieFurtado and Timbaland on my intro. Makes for a nice influence. Also, TameImpala covers the song live. The music that influenced me on tonight's intro will be a link in the notes. Movie Club movies. Tonight's feature, Flawless 2019. Directed by MichaelRadford. MichaelRadford is the director of George Orwell's original 1984, starring John Hurt. This is pre-homework viewing or reading. That book means so much in our contemporary times. And on a side note, the movie Brazil by Terry Gilliam is a close relative. 1984, George Orwell. Dancing at the Blue Iguana from 2000, which is a well-done movie with TMCMS favorite Sandra Oh. Also, Bee Monkey from 1998, starring Asia Argento, and White Mischief from 1987, starring Geraldine Chaplin. And here is the plot summary from Letterhead from White Mischief. In a world of wife-swapping, drugs, and chocolate-covered lobsters, murder seemed so uncivilized. A millionaire past his prime and his young wife arrive in Kenya circa 1940 to find that the other affluent British expatriates are living large as the home front gears up for war. They are busy swapping partners, doing drugs, and attending lavish parties and horse races. So dialogue and progressing plots with writing seems to be key in his work. This movie stars Demi Moore and Michael Caine. I will highlight some of their work that applies to this feature. Demi Moore from 1984, Blame It on Rio. This movie is an early work from her and is not a movie to hold close to your heart, as it is def not PC and rides the line of inappropriate behaviors and relationships. Think My Father the Hero. But this movie is a reuniting of Caine and Moore. Can you believe it? 1986, One Crazy Summer. Of course, the filmmaker of that also made Better Off Dead. I'm still on the fence about One Crazy Summer. I can quickly just say that that movie, I think, was always in the rental for us, but I don't think I ever picked it up. But at the same time, like that along with the movie Summer School, I just feel like speak my language in a way where it's like, I don't know, like I've always known about these. See our past movie club movies episode, White of the Eye with John G. John G's movie collection had a lot of movies where it was just like, I've always known of this movie before. And One Crazy Summer is one of them. And there's another, One Strange Affair with John Cryer. And it's also a movie where it's like, once I did see it later in life, it was like I'd always had known of this movie without seeing it. I had always known of this movie. 1992, A Few Good Men. 1994, Disclosure with Michael Douglas. 1996, Striptease. Great movie, great episode from the How Did This Get Made Podcast, 1997, an even better movie, G.I. Jane, which is an iconic role from her and was a mark of the time for her casting and preparation for the role. Her life was under hot scrutiny at the time, and she didn't deserve it. And this moment in time is why we are finding ourselves post-Me Too, clearing out toxic reporting and fairly criticizing others' private versus professional lives, because that movie was too intense about what she was doing with A, her body, B, with her career choices, and C, just her overall choices for her life, personal, private, and professional. Moving on. And she wasn't able to light her career as much as her momentum prior to G.I. Jane, besides 1993 Indecent Proposal with Woody Harrelson, Robert Redford, directed by Adrian Lyne, director of Deepwater 2022. Her involvement with the Charlie's Angels series, she stars in this movie, Flawless, and that was a lot of notes, thank you Justin. She also was a producer for films like Austin Powers, 1997. Recently, she is back on fire in a great way with the movie The Substance. She is also in a new, I believe, series where she may just have a limited role, Landman. I do hear both of these selections are really good, worth checking out. I think The Substance is actually a major movie suggestion. I'm trying to watch it, but at the same time, I got to get in a good vibe for something like that. But I hear about the content and incredible. Michael Caine from 1975 Peeper, also starring Natalie Wood and directed by Peter Hyams. 1980 Brian De Palma's Dressed to Kill. 1988 Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. 1994 a very small role on Deadly Ground. 1995 Bullet to Beijing. 2002 Austin Powers Goldmember. 2003 the director of Long Good Friday, the movie Quicksand with Michael Keaton. 2006 The Prestige, directed by the director of Oppenheimer. Michael is in countless movies. I will leave with one last pick worth a watch. 2006 Children of Men. The main big boss men are played by Joss ACKLAND, who has some transformative performances here. He is older, and yet he is well disguised. I didn't outright recognize him from his roles in Mighty Ducks, Red October, Lethal Weapon 2. Much like Michael Caine, he is in countless movies and has a signature voice and delivery. Flawless is his 20th most popular movie, which is a wild stat if you look at the rundown. He worked with this director in the movie White Mischief. And Darren Nesbitt as Clifton Sinclair. There are several male role players in this feature, and I highlight a couple as we go along. However, it's worth noting the cast is made up of stage-experienced actors. The film opens with a stream of muck and dirt and rocks, and gems, uncut, raw diamonds. A darkened hand filtering out the dirt, sorting the sod, and we have a nice large cereal bowl size ball of rock. The hand presents it to us, and then the screen changes. Hands. To more filtering, cleaning, and handling of handing off these rocks to a buyer, and onto a professional, craftsman, selecting the rock, polishing, shaving, and cutting the piece, to form a selected diamond with patented shine and selective prisming, shine on bright, and then onto another interesting segment of a fitting onto a ring, shine on bright, worn by just somebody, and 2 wine glasses are toasted and cheersed by 2 people, which turns into others drinking and carrying on, and continues to show business people, and more selectively, business professionals, professional women. But I want to mention that the neat parts of the shining of the diamond included the parchment paper used to carry the raw diamonds. I had seen this paper before in Donnie Brasco, and then again in other diamond heist movies, like 1978 Straight Time, which, Donnie Brasco takes place in 1978. That's pretty funny. But 1978 straight time, they try to rob a diamond or jewelry store. And the small instruments and tools used to carve these diamonds was also really cool. I like how a cast or a brace or a band like grip item that holds the raw rock is interesting because what is that piece doing? It's holding on to a small piece of a valuable rock. I don't know, it's similar to braces for teeth, I guess. Film continues to open with a meeting at a cafe outside, patio seating, pre-COVID time period, and I'm just watching this movie just after COVID. A young woman, a young professional, is busy with a call on her smartphone and is making her way through a bustling city metropolitan work center and series of buildings and doors, including what looks like a modern contemporary cafe. A table where we have clocked a modern contemporary older woman with gray hair, accessories, and everything. She's at a table and I think she is waiting. The young woman is a young professional and she is managing receiving info on her device and arriving at the table and greeting her next meeting, our gray-haired professional seated at the table. Only slightly annoyed, the camera is focusing on a few quirks or eggs, if you will, about our times and possibly preparing us, foreshadowing that future is female and our young pro here is getting the news that she is getting the cover story and she is working hard, maybe forgetting some of her manners. As only 20, 30 years ago, women and men, for argument's sake, were making efforts to remain sophisticated to a fault, of minding manners, as well as knowing that the place of professional females could still be perceived as sub. But for the cultural context, I must note, and we may be seeing these cues as a major front page story or spotlight of your work, especially 30 years ago, would be a major accomplishment and some struggle to accomplish. And here we are, where so many are getting a chance to shine, and we are getting equalized to the point of just slovenly taking care of our business, or to some point, something like that. I just am making mention that it's like we are meeting two generations at this coffee table. One I don't know too much about, but I'm just reading into the situation and wanting to understand more about what's about to happen in the movie. That one generation is coming from a lot of manners, a lot of P's and Q's, but also to get to a higher level in your profession, in your career, like this young woman on the phone is, would be very difficult, very challenging, and other women open doors for women of contemporary and modern times. Only 15 years ago and even 30 years ago, it would have been very challenging. So these women opening doors is very important. And here we have a young person of contemporary time, so to say, probably in mid-20s, early 30s, with a job, sort of promotion, to highlight in conversation. Would she turn up her A game and mind her P's and Q's and be solid professional? Well, she's using her phone and sort of talking loudly. She's probably a few minutes late. And I'm not saying too much about this woman with gray hair. It's just I'm reading the screen and we can see a few nonverbal cues from our older woman focusing in on her meeting this younger woman. And here we are. And we may be seeing these cues, especially 30 years ago, would be a major accomplishment. And some struggle to accomplish. As we become so equal, it's also bringing it's more work once you get the work. And I don't know, maybe a past generation shined it on. Pressure-filled deadlines. You were having, mental breakdowns and heart attacks and sucking on cigarettes and taking speed pills and stuff, hurting yourself. And now it's like, well, just take care of the work. And young people are drinking cafe lattes and stuff. And it's just like, maybe there's some difference there, that we are, we're just losing the please and thank yous to just keep working, at least in our work time. I don't think everybody's like that. I'm just being dramatic. A meeting of two working pros, we will gain more perspective with the story in front of us, their intros. Cassie J, features editor. DemiMoore replies, Laura Quinn. Cassie continues, having it all at 25 cannot be biologically correct. She says she is collecting interviews about former females, I think the 1940s, 50s, 60s, and most of who we contacted turned out to be dead. And you're still, Because this movie is not about our young professional, who continues, "You're alive, which is great. I need to paint a picture. You were London Diamond Company? Sounds made up. You are successful. It's the 50s. It's fiercely competitive male-dominated culture. You battle your way up and become a manager. Not going to impress anyone these days, but oh well." Laura is sitting patiently, but her annoyance silently grows. "You were the only female manager that existed there until recently, and I want to know your story." Here we have Laura Quinn. Our character is under makeup. This is DemiMoore and a young person. Laura Quinn. "I haven't stepped foot in this city as a free woman in over 40 years. It's changed." That might be an old verse, new punch. I think she's put a large diamond on the table. 168 carat, extremely rare. And I stole it from London Diamond. Cassie had placed a recording device on the table and activated it. After Laura's line here, Laura presses to deactivate and stop the recording. A deal happened at London Diamond, and I have some details that may not be in your story. Cassie adds, "You've been in prison?" And we transition with some jazzy, which a cool DJ producer sample in a great album from Saint Germain, The Tourist. Dave Brubeck, take 5. London, 1960. Laura Quinn is a raven-haired DemiMoore with a kinda Mary Tyler Moore hairdo, and she is headed towards her professional day. This shot patterns the first shots of professionals around contemporary London. She heads into lawn dye and has to sign in with one of our first creepy guys in this movie. He greets her when she enters and when she leaves. Along her way in, she briefly says hello to Michael Caine, who will make a more meaty appearance soon. While we have watched her march into work, we have watched a moving process of unlocking and dispersing raw diamonds to our diamond graders, and the scoopfuls or the folly work on these slushy footlockers of raw rocks. A lead tight-ass has led 2 other men into a slow-opening vault while cascaded with 2 security men, watched a moving process of the unlocking and dispersing raw diamonds to our diamond graders and the scoopfuls. Everyone is dressed conservatively. It's not like any of these men look like a henchman for Bond or anything. But the file along and the server men are sitting at what looks like cafeteria tables, but they are clean surface desks with lots of light and a business casual banter along with smiles. These moments remind me of Will Smith's movie Pursuit of Happiness, the way his character observes his nearby happy career professionals making a substantial, sustainable living all around him as we struggle. We have not seen much struggle just yet in this movie. Laura Quinn is now seated among her coworkers, all men, enough to shadow her presence in the room. Her character sits off to the side, completely grayed out in her navy blue tweed dress. A violent attack has hit a major mine for the company. Our big boss Toad has entered and sat. 100 are dead. Laura Quinn confidently voices that her shareholding partners should be held onto as to keep the value and stability of their global share of the market. Boss Man may not like her perspective. And after another guy chimes in, Big Boss Man makes an announcement of a raise for a guy standing right over there. I guess Quinn was up for the same promotion and misses the mark somehow. She does have to shake his hand, and nothing cute about this. She takes the L. And we see her sitting in her office, juggling a lighter, kinda clicking it while she takes drags of her cigarette. She is hanging over a couple stacks of papers, and her really nice glasses are off, also sitting on top of the papers. And besides what I do see her doing, I still wonder, with other jobs like this in movies, where is the work? What are you doing all day? You are getting paid so much. To what? Stack papers? I'm only kidding, but I'm kinda not. A young associate pops in to mention He knows she was worth the promotion. Laura is no fool, and she was up against a high wall. The young man politely leaves, and she looks down to see a memo-size envelope. In it, there is a note that reads, "Number of subsidiaries worldwide, 1,203. Number of female managing directors," she correctly writes in a big 0. And the way of the word "of" is written in very notable as well. It's like the O is above the F. She tears the paper and gets out another note card and writes, "Don't give up. Work harder, you will win." Along with writing, Demi is doing voiceover of what she's writing for those seated in the back of the theater. She places the note back in the manila small envelope that has her name on the outer side, Laura Quinn. So, is she leaving these notes for herself? The other one was neatly thrown into her small wastebasket. Yeah, are these like motivational, like ways to sort of wish things into existence? And if she would have gotten that position, she would have seen that note card and marked 1. I mean, I know I just said she's no fool, but I'm just trying to figure out what are those notes. Because she's leaving, she's walking out, and another young woman professional stops her to say, "You forgot again." They were going to have lunch and gossip and girl talk, and meet a guy. Her friend had her mind on the two of them meeting. "His name is Kenneth. Take his number." Laura replies, "Oh, I don't like the name Kenneth," which is a great defense of those who are avoiding the judgment or motivation of others, focused on getting involved in others' romantic social lives. I'm looking at you, Nick Fresha of the LA County Narcotics Office.
Tequila Sunrise.
One of the original classics from the Movie Club podcast. She steadily walks away. By the way, the interior of this entranceway is large and airy, and I'm not sure how famous this building is, but it's like sky or Tiffany blue, and there are trapezoid rectangle-sized windows along all of the walls, and it creates a very pleasant atmosphere, as well as, I am sure, these are very well-to-do offices, and almost a sense of, I mean, there's one thing that I'm thinking is beehive and honeycomb, but also the sort of shape of a diamond. Could be the way this was all designed. But I thought she was leaving, but she is still working and passes by the desk to see a janitor vacuuming a room with illuminated maps on the walls. I'm just reading my notes sometimes and it makes me laugh. And Laura again at her desk, making me eat my words because she is writing on these paper stacks. And she looks realistically studious, along with an eraser capped on her pencil, which, I don't know, just looks perfectly wonderful. Michael Caine enters her office to make some order out of her wastebaskets. She's also has an ashtray he empties. He just starts off talking as soon as he enters the room. And can I say that what I can imagine anyone making any serious money working under serious critical circumstances like doctors, nurses, city planners, and diamond brokers and strategists. The level of concentration required to write the briefs and presentations must be mind-blowing. And a rude person would annoy me to no end.
But this is dramatic cinema, Justin.
Let's continue. A load of rubbish as he empties the rubbish basket. People can have what they want. All they have to do is grab it. Fortune favors the bold, he continues, and asks a question, should we hand the South Africans their freedom or let them seize it for themselves? Laura says, things are never as simple as they seem. I'm sure you're right, Miss Quinn. You're the one with the suit. He finishes picking up and only empties out the ashtray, returning it to her desk as she puffs away. She, for some reason, is hustling out of the building, and our other annoying male exit desk character is also making a comment about her staying late. Just log me out, dude. I dislike the observations of other people, and to hear 2 in a row like this, knowing that this doorman only may have many more to go, is cringing. Living dangerously, Miss Quinn. Living recklessly, Henry. This is like a role only Demi Moore could shine on for all of us. Go back to her early work because she has a charm. If you like George Clooney, Demi Moore, I think, is on the other side of that street playing basketball for the women's team. She walks into a townhouse flat in line as a white-fronted apartment along with others, just like one after the next, very, very British. Perfect for singles, question mark. A 78 plays on her record player. Brenda Lee, I'm sorry, I was just listening to Andy Daly's podcast on Patreon. They went in on a conversation about Brenda Lee and just wondering what she's up to. I got a kick out of it, and that was just recently. Although I think that episode is probably from like 2 years ago, but I just got a chance to listen to them. A meek dinner candle is burning down. Yeah, she is totally bachelorette going on right now. Like, she is bacheloring in this house. I can't understand if she's doing work. She is just showing us like she kind of lives a mundane life. She's probably happy to be alone with herself. I think we're just seeing just an everyday moment. She's just is chilling. She continues, and it's kind of conservative too, so it's not like she's sitting there with an iPod listening to Pearl Jam. She continues to do some more work on a kitchen table. Again, though, what kind of work does she do? Just endless writing. Explanations? What's the process of filing paperwork for diamonds? I ask. At home, with a glass of wine. She begins to unwind. She takes her earring out. It's a diamond. She easily pops the stone out of the fitting and uses melted wax from her candle to hold the stone in her undernail, which we see at this moment. She has well done, prominent nails, not overstated, most likely right on par with a sophisticated woman like herself in her position and her level of self-expression. I don't know, just make note of her nails. And not that she is inspecting a diamond. She silently takes a good look at one, and with a breath of frustration possibly, she gathers a cloth napkin or handkerchief and puts the pair of earrings in along with the Lucy and balls it up, and puts this to the side, and then goes for a drink of wine. So I could definitely say I'm having some fun here, but there is a political aspect of diamonds, of this particular story. So we're just hearing of these stories, obviously in the office, and that is what she's dealing with. So I'm joking around with filing paperwork, but in reality, she is being a human right now in her own living space. And I'm sure she's carrying some of the weight that her company is causing on parts of the world that transact these stones and business. Our big boss is heard asking if anything is troubling Ms. Quinn, Demi Moore. As she begins without hesitancy, the existing Russian contract, I suggest we simply extend it. He takes a gulp of lunch scotch. He asks, were you just suggesting that they were traveling here to sever our contact? She explains. Let them travel, let them publicize all the things wrong with London Diamond, all they want. But we secretly offer extending their contract. The deal works for the room. The yes men in the room, paired with matching roses in the pockets of their suits, both are nodding along. Big Boss Man caps us off, asking, who else have you told about this? We stop there and see her gliding down a hallway, focused. A group of young executives are strolling past her. One perks up. Laura, is that you? And begins an odd yet professional flirt that is destined to go nowhere. Harold Reynolds! Good God! Harold says, she's the cleverest person I've ever met. She is American. She ran circles around us at Oxford. Of course, I don't talk to her. She turned me down for dinner 3 times. She responds, I was just testing his resolve. He mentions his allied bank has been sweating over London Diamond's account, and there is a lot of ice, making people nervous. Interesting. He likes that he is seeing her working for the company, and as his colleagues walk away, he leaves her a business card and suggests to contact if she's thinking of career change of world domination. We see her slowly transition to her house, and in a shadowy evening, she continues to work. The walls are painted navy-ish, a dusty deep royal blue, I question, which is affected when we were switching to her going into work in the morning. A white stone building. ADR from the front desk, earliest and brightest as Laura walks into work. "Oh, I do my best, Henry," she says. She is at the desk first thing and finds the note card and envelope. What looks like a movie ticket falls to the floor. It has a time written. She must know it's a place to meet. Her note about don't give up had a one-line addition. "No, you won't." She walks to a gorgeous relic of a theater. Do we know what movie is playing? An incredible orange-lensed flashlight guides her to a row of seats. We're 20 minutes in. Miss Quinn, we get a seat over here." "Mr. Hobbs, I'm flattered, but really," he explains, "I'm a happily married man. Please, just 5 minutes." He stutters over a mild explanation, and she humors him, going for a seat. And this is all happening in public, but it's a shadowy, quiet theater. Michael Caine is speaking with a real British drawl, so it's tough to make what he is telling us, but what I could assemble is that he was in the war and came back only to find his wife was dying, which is surprising to Miss Quinn, and he replies, "I will always be happily married." So a sort of verbal save the cat moment. Are we to read here that he's a good guy? She begins to be frustrated nonetheless and pulls out the note and calls it reading others' correspondence. So that was her own notes of encouragement or motivational, wishing something into existence, if I were to just simplify it. And Hobbs calls it frustration, after clearing up that it was Laura who is writing the notes of motivation to herself. See, the number of male executive managers was risen by 1, while the number of female executive managers remains at 0. So he's just like, no matter what you think of this, you just got screwed. And I saw it, and I don't think it's fair. But he's continuing. "Mr. Hobbs, what is it you want?" He asks her, "What is it that you want?" On the movie screen, Hobbs chuckles while mentioning, "They're gonna rob a bank in the middle of London." That's what is happening on the movie. Maybe I can run down and find that title. "Passed over 6 times in 3 years. She's a fighter." She gets up to leave. He pleads, "They're going to fire you. Your Russia idea." Conversations are had in front of the cleaners. The Russians will accept her idea only if it's kept a secret by senior staff, and they will be letting her go, because it seems she doesn't qualify. She cannot keep still with her rapid growing frustration. She may not believe. She is speechless and visibly breathless. We see the big boss man, MK, from above, get into quite a luxury automobile, typewriter types, and an office just down the hall from Laura Quinn's. Big boss is out. His secretary is left vulnerable. Laura needs to confirm her near future fate. A little paperwork digging. She tricks the secretary into checking a waiting guest here on the wrong day for an appointment. And she finds her file with a blue typed sheet stating her termination of employment. Laura L. Quinn, Senior Managing, broking. She has Harold Reynolds' card. She makes a dinner date, a professional dinner date. He greets her at a steakhouse as the envy of the entire restaurant. Bad news, they cannot offer her a position, and he informs her he is unable to have anyone speak with her, and she informs it's done all the time. He leans in. As an old friend, they are saying that you are grossly incompetent. I think one of my worst fears is to be described the same way. And we are not to speak with you or any company doing business with London Diamond, which is called Lond-Dye, which, like this scene, is such a subtle speaking tone that I thought it would be difficult to get across the name of the company, as is this guy's delivery is as cool as a cucumber. But I think he is a real friend and potential ally to Laura, as she's hearing his calm statement on the status of her career and income. She clutches a bit at the silverware on the table close to her fingertips, her nails. I don't know if I'm going to ruin this, but obviously he's telling her some really, dirty stuff where it's like you're losing your position and wow, you're about to lose a lot of your livelihood. And he's doing it very calm, like a gentleman, and she's being a gentleman herself, or like a lady. And it's so wild when it is like 1960s. Everybody can be so mechanical, strategic. I don't know, I guess manners. And then here we are, these two folks, and I don't know where this movie's headed. It's just so polite, everything's well mannered, and it's imprisonment, right? I don't watch a lot of TV, so I'm sure a lot of listeners are like, this show is the same way, this show is the same way, this series. I don't subscribe to all the content. I like this shot. It's a shot of anxiety. I think we can imagine what she's going through in this moment. And I am only speaking from the way I saw this moment as anxiety, sort of defensive aggression. I think a stroke of violent thought from the audience is helpful in illustrating that she is hearing. She's losing her life, her income, her job. She will go down levels of levels, silver past bronze. And also, I think we want some comfort in moments like these, a shot of hunger, or, as I initially wrote, hungry. Demi Moore is an experienced and smart actress. As a perfectly decorative soup arrives at the table, Harold continues and asks, "You said you had something else to discuss." The soup may be a broth or a pale carrot. She mentions taking him up on his offer for dinner. And heartbreak again. He has been happily married for 5 years. Laura's eyes twinkle. He has 3 daughters. "You should come over one Sunday." And tags the end of the scene with an ADR. "Oh, good soup. Good soup. Sorry, but this line about Sunday caught my attention, and I want to post a note on it. How it could be one of those moments that at the climax, a surprise helping hand reaches our hero because they finally stopped by the professor's science class or the bar.
"Oh, you finally stopped by. Well, you know my grandfather, the federal judge?" And the next scene is our hero being cleared of wrongdoing. "All charges lifted because of my grandfather, the judge, and his antique shop." Just kidding. But let's stick a note on that line.
Laura is back at her place. Cozy, maybe. Tube radio and chill. Laura Quinn looks incredible, and from her navy genie lamp, we are transitioned again to the crystal white interior of Lawned Dye. And she's ready to sign out for the day. Is this dreamlike? Is this when the comet zombies strike from their motorbikes? Early lunch, Ms. Quinn. AI Henry remains active. As Henry remains active. Very early and very long. The lobby hallway has the same scattering of business goers, and behind her is a group of matching rosed executives, and besides Laura, speaking is very calm, murmuring. A diamond falls to her feet in front of her. Henry picks it up, and some anonymous stooges come running after her, where she stands, looking down at her fingernails, underlining, with diamonds. Very much longer nails than when she was inspecting her own earring, but good for the effect of a nightmare. She's taken away into the camera. She wakes herself and goes to work the next day. And the dog track at night, where she meets Mr. Hobbs, and they confirm that their info is correct. What do they want? In 6 months, Hobbs will retire, with a hearty pat on the back, and a not-so-hearty pension, a situation in dire need of attention. So money, plain and simple. I got strawberry cough. Come on now. I'm Michael Caine. Okay, Michael Caine. I'm more stuffed up. I'm Michael Caine. With a hearty pat on the back and a not-so-hearty pension, a situation in dire need of attention. So money, plain and simple. Hobbs was a good worker from a young age and took care of his wife while working nights at Lawn Dye. He's a caring, smart man who never lived up to his potential, a level or two above where he remained. He has a plan. We don't have to change our normal routines. He has a napkin with a simple, precise drawing of a rectangle space, vault and hallway, etc. He goes down his day, which is also the layout for his plan. He starts on the 4th floor and works his way down. This is roughly starting at the end of work hours and mentions at the top of his decision, presentation, pitch to Laura Quinn that after a few hours and as he makes his way, he virtually is left alone for hours. And he jokes, he could walk around naked. Don't spend time thinking about that. He gives us the specifics. But yeah, Michael Caine, could you do that pregnant though? He gives us the specifics, but there are too many, and they are too good to take all of my time recapping the movie. We also see that Hobbs is on his hands and knees, wiping down the marble floors on this hallway, which is the vault hallway. He is a hair's breadth away for 16 years. Light criticism, I think Michael Caine is playing his character as if he has been working there for 30 years. Ha! Laura, of course, chimes in to say he would be only able to open the doors if he had the codes. At this point, including Mr. Hobbs, the movie has carried on as a stamp of a time, and now that the two of them are hashing out a vault heist and mention the word codes several times, it's taking me out of it just a bit, but no biggie. Laura lights a cigarette because this is not even 1989. There's not even battery controlled handheld video games at this point. Pinball doesn't really exist at this point. Laura lights a cigarette in Hobbs' apartment, which I'm kind of envious of. I know it looks shabby, worn down, but it looks cozy and has some potential. And knowing Hobbs probably takes care of his things, I'm sure it's full of personality. Or what would the listing post it as? Charm. He carries on. Of course, there is a single key holder who is flanked by 2 security stooges, and we see them again wheeling out 2 carriages of jewels. The sets in this movie just look so clean and rich.
It's well done and worth noting. Thank you, Justin.
Sir Milton Kendrick Ashton Crawford, aging ruler of everything that daylight touches. I found by accident that he keeps his codes in his desk or under his desk. We watch as Hobbs sees a fortune cookie-sized piece of paper sticking out of the desk drawer, pulled out. And Hobbs struggles to get a piece of a flag from Double Dare and pulls it out and reads it's a series of numbers, which, get this, it's 6 numbers. The code to a Scrooge McDuck, which, get this, it's 6 numbers. The code to a Scrooge McDuck-sized vault of raw diamonds, 6 numbers on a piece of paper for a code. He surprises himself with the find and silently gets up from the floor and falls back into the chair, the throne of Sir Milton, and looks around. It's a really funny take from Michael Caine. I can see it as a gif. He concludes, I looked for them again and the codes were not there again. Where does Laura fall into this? He frames his plan as her opportunity and has a flyer for an event with the visiting Russian entity and adds, it's at Sir Milton's residence and she should check under the middle of his desk. Hey, Mr. Hobbs, you want I should zip up his pants while I'm down there? He wants her to check the home office desk for the paper with the handwritten codes. Oh, because they are changed, so like he tucks the piece of paper in like a brace to the drawer ring under the desk? I get it now. Laura concludes, okay, say I find the codes and you make your way through and into the vault. How will you bring the diamonds out? And he shows her his trusty old thermos. Probably for tea? It's dark and looks like an old Stanley medium-sized thermos. Classic. And she asks, how much will it hold? How much would you like it to hold? What's the price of revenge? She does not commit to his plan. She gives us the info that about $1 million in value would not even be noticed. And the shot at the beginning would help us trust that, because they probably handed out over a million's worth to the professional inspectors, with gobs worth more in the trays. Think of the jewels of booty on the pirate One-Eyed Willie's ship in the movie's Goonies, and multiply it. My eyes are turning into jewels as I record the podcast. Diamond sound of eyes, or gem-like eyes. Bling, 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 bling. We see Laura Quinn in her standalone clawfoot bath, with soap suds up to her shoulders, dragging a classic cigarette, and next to her, she has a small beauty bar with tools like combs and sprays, and she has a top shelf layout of nail files and other beauty items. I can appreciate the self-care, and I want to appreciate the ornate beauty tools that are so archaic in terms of opting into disposable objects and brands. I don't want to overdo it, but what I'm really saying is these actual objects, I mean, countless years, human beings, I guess that can afford such a thing, would take care of this, and a comb or a nail file or nail clippers, may I say, soap dispensers and lotion dispensers. I don't think I'm telling a lot of people anything they don't already know, but it is interesting to see it done pretty correctly in a movie, and it's interesting about the human touch of it all and also the generational routine of it all. Well done and very interesting. I guess if you go to antique shops, vintage stores, maybe a thrift store, but I'm really talking about where maybe there's a nice, consistent series of different things and you get to see really interesting things. Thrift stores could be completely random, but going to like an antique shop that's a little bit more approachable, sometimes you can see like an array of those things. Maybe you see 2 or 3 series of that and you get to see shades of color, use of pattern, that's really involved and really interesting. And you don't always see that correctly in a movie, you know? Am I way too off center if I mention, could we get like her knee showing through the bubbles, but there is a wet band-aid showing? Like, hey, no body's flawless. My humor, like a fart bubble, sinks back down below. She's thinking, and then we see her pulling up to a mansion entrance. Gravel driveway, scorching flames, are used as house lights. This reminds me of Daniel Craig, James Bond parties, and Ace Ventura going to the parties in 1 and 2. A rich guy gets out of the car and walks in with Sir Milton. They take us around with camera shots of a tight room for a mansion, but music is being played, and hors d'oeuvres and drinks are being served, and we see Laura Quinn walk in. Her outfit is almost the color of denim. It's a cool gray halter top dress. Her hair is done up. She looks cuter, but also menacing and professional. She likes to wear rounded pearls or beads as necklaces, and she picks a neatly placed glass of, I don't know, bourbon or a pissy-colored white wine. Guys, I'm being crass because I don't know for sure, and she goes for a sip. Some dickhead says, "Cheers to pressurized carbon," and he drinks. Would Paul F. Tompkins cheers to that? Because I don't think he would toast to that. But diamonds, I get it. Compressed carbon for sketches is more what I'm about. Clifton Sinclair was the rich guy, and I think we find out that he is London's diamonds top guarantor. Guarantee. We have the definition. A guarantor is a financial term describing an individual who promises to pay a borrower's debt. If the borrower defaults on their loan obligation, guarantors pledge their own assets as collateral against the loans. And be sure to leave a comment. If you hear or read the word guarantor several times this week, now that you've heard it here on the podcast. Clifton may not have the best reputation, but he seems to make transactions happen consistently successful. Sir Milton introduces Laura Quinn to the head of Soviet Diamond Authority, Vladimir Dmitry. Laura Quinn is described as one of their biggest and one of their brightest. And she's days away from getting canned. She speaks a little Russian and makes such a good impression that she begins to dance. And this guy grabs her, but while they dance and she has said some professional flirty things about liking vodka and diamonds, Then she has ulterior motives, as this guy requested a dance from her. She's delivering the lines as if she's keeping up with a hustle, and we, the audience, know she is. But at the same time, I don't fully understand why she's saying what she's saying. The stigma of patriarchy? She backs off and dances herself outside onto a convenient patio balcony. And again, this looks like so many sets from other movies. Cruella? Anyone out there? I like that movie. Hot take. She takes a much-earned breath. What am I doing? And a guy comes off the wall to talk to her. I ask that of myself repeatedly. He brings us back to the time period, and maybe because we are the land of the rich, he sounds really aged. Her dress has a racerback-like element. She apologizes for speaking. He says, "It's all right. You are in his lair, his sanctuary." What? Is this game? Flawless game? What? No. She acknowledges that this may be the son of Sir Milton, and that the night seemed to be a success. And he is already mentioning and downplaying that he's at a party run by his rich father, and that he is well off. But he is smeared with money. It's like Videodrome residue is coming off the dang screen. Laura ADRs for some reason. Is it true he paid money to the families of the workers killed protesting? Anonymously. Are we talking about Sir Milton? He paid for the bullets and the caskets. There should be a discount for when a man does such a thing. What the hell? What? Laura, man of conscience, she begins to walk around the party, the house, and she looks great. And the dress is very dressy and more flair than we were seeing pre-dance. Party is shot very small, so a shot of her walking to a staircase is where the money went. We follow Laura. One office stooge has had his eye on her, and he is getting Star Wars New Hope level single shots. And this actor has his own pair of glasses, is slightly glowing with sweat or grease, and is quietly smoking a cigarette. So he has a bounty hunter creature moment, clocking Laura Quinn. He has a Jimmy Simpson vibe. Jimmy Simpson from Westworld or Letterman sketches, but they're shooting him like Lando Calrissian in disguise in Return of the Jedi, or just those single shots that are happening in that Star Wars, especially that first one. Laura makes her way up a much more rounded out set of rooms and warm home office, covered in leather and bear heads. She goes for the big boss desk, and we see her not finding any codes or papers with codes. And when Hobbs looked for the code, he found it in less than a second, and with very little reaching. We see Laura, and she is groping this dang desk. She is all over this drawer, pulling day planners out. She's shifting the drawer and desk, causing the balance motion bearings to clack back and forth. And I am just too sure that Office Stooge number 2 is making his way toward the fireplace here in the office den. She even looks behind the painting. She is using a handkerchief to cover her fingerprints, and Sir Milton comes in. Laura has made her way above the room from a staircase. Milton goes straight for his bookshelf safe, and from above, with another convenient placed item, a pair of opera binoculars. She watches him use his combination. Sir Milton leaves and takes her drink with him. As she had to lay it neatly on the desk, he easily picked it up, in rhythm on his way out of the door. She stealthily opens the safe and retrieves the 6-digit code to the vault. Hobbs is freshening up flowers on his wife's grave. In the background of the gravesite, there is another person laying flowers down nearby. But also, there are 2 building-sized cage structures. Is this a bird sanctuary or something from JP3? Cool movie setting. Hobbs is then at his office, the janitor's closet, the sort of janitorial locker and supply room. Laura seems to have access from a stairwell, and she gets Hobbs' attention. I have to note this scene because Hobbs has had to wave to her for her to lower her voice and speak in janitor code for some odd reason, but it's quirky and odd. Mr. Hobbs, my heater needs looked at. Are you wanting more heat or less heat? I think this is a lean on how women would be spoken to by repair services, mechanics, men doing work, not keeping conversations on the level, equally informative. So it's like, do you want more heat or less heat?
But sometimes that's necessary too. Like, let's just get to this point. I got a lot. Everybody's got a lot to do right now.
She slips him a noted envelope and mentions, if I'm going to do this, you have to tell me everything. And the note is passed. 40 minutes. Laura is back at work the next day, and she runs into service installing cameras for the hallways and vault. These look so old-fashioned, it's wild. The monitors are on a wall, and those look hilarious, for some reason, although authentic. Laura makes her way to an authentic pub. She immediately starts chatting with Mr. Hobbs about all morning she has been given info about the new surveillance routine. No wonder Lawn Dye is so successful. They get so much work done in the morning. She has had good morning, the movie club movie. She has so much technical info about why and where each camera is. But what it comes down to is that the monitors will have a 60-second delay at certain times. And Hobbs is thinking he will be able to catch the delay and get into the vault and leave the vault undetected. This is a heated argument and debate where Laura gets up to leave at one moment and Hobbs talks her back. But it's a bit too overbearing because he's saying, you want it more than I do. He's speaking about wanting a life of value, a life worth living for, something better for your efforts. I think we can relate. She is motivated and he compliments her on her tenacity, reminding him of his late wife. And you know, in this interaction, I could see DemiMoore playing Batman, with Michael Caine as Alfred or Commish Gordon, or Robin, who gives a flying fuck, Christopher Robin's Piglet, or Friar Tuck. She boldly plans for them to synchronize to tomorrow to pull it off, before the glitch is noticed, and that when it's over, I think we should never speak again. And at that moment, let me just say here, about my notes above, that I do think the way he said, you want it more than I do, that's poorly worded, may I say, but I read through that he is speaking about wanting a life of value, as I mentioned, but I do want to mention how insensitive he brought that about, and I think I'm seeing that clearly. But I'm liking this movie. Follow me. I won't say it. Flawless. She boldly plans for them to synchronize to tomorrow to pull it off, before the glitch is noticed, and that when it's over, I think we should never speak again. And in a last breath, she rushes out of the pub, unnoticed. Water running in his sink, Mr. Hobbs washes out his thermos, and I am feeling like an Ocean's 11 magic trick is being set up in front of me. Laura arrives at the sign-out desk in a buttoned-up autumn coat. Henry says, "Evening." Mr. Hobbs arrives at the sign-out desk. A camera is pointed right at us, and Hobbs looks for a pen to sign in. He borrows Laura. He greets Henry and adds, "Ask me again Friday." We now see our way around the offices through the lens of the new cameras. He passes the pair of guards, as predicted, and continues his 16-year routine. Not 30 or 60 or something incredibly extreme. Age. Until we follow Hobbs to the monitor's office, which is comical because it's just so easily trafficked into our character's main focus. Because Hobbs is in this office to clean up, to mop. It's laughable. He starts to mop behind the guy seated, watching the monitors. Hobbs is watching the monitors. I'm laughing. It's a Peter Sellers bit, but it's real. And the monitors just look, I don't know, kinda sophomoric. Hobbs times the screen delay with a stopwatch, right behind the head and ear of the guy sitting at the monitor's desk. Why don't you just grab his Snickers bar? I don't know, should I say something like, grab his 20 grand bar? Why don't you just grab his Junior Mints? His Junior Mints! He's got nougats! Laura is pacing, chain smoking at her place. Hobbs is in a hallway supply closet now, emptying a garbage bin, and places a canister there, keeping his cart together. And he is oddly paced, looking at his stopwatch, and looking confusingly around the room. I don't know if that's his telegraphing of, oh, should I call it off? He heads out, down the hallway. Laura's house looks really swanky, with a white luxury car parked outside of her neighbor's matching white house. We see Laura leave her place, and we keep checking in from the monitor's desk. And this guy is downing hard-boiled eggs and smoking cigarettes. He's got a paper out, as if he's looking at bookie stats. Hobbs has made it to the hallway of the vault, and I cannot tell if he's moving on time. He's showing us his stopwatch, but it's very intricate, and I cannot focus to see if we are high suspense just yet. But a hall monitor does get him to skip as he enters the door to the hallway, so we are heightened senses as security is close by. Laura has made her way to a payphone, and you want to know one trait of a bank robber is they may hang out around payphones and look filthy because of it. Laura is too sophisticated to be criminal on a payphone. She walks to her local phone, and the cord has been cut. Then, very tomboy-like, she is seen running away as if she's late for classes. Corvette, she runs like Kenny on LV Sands. Hobbs is turning the dials to the vault and is hesitating like every step of the way. So maybe this is a popcorn chewing feature. The security monitor is diving into a crumpled, brandless bag of English biscuits. He's dunking them in what? A cup of tea? What a job this guy has. He's pulling out 2 muffins as Hobbs enters the vault and is struggling to open and close the vault door, which is thick. Laura is making a call to the monitor and hangs up when he answers. Hobbs is in 50 minutes. The monitor guy does not necessarily see him outwardly struggle. He gets in with a little bit more distraction. Have you seen someone pet a dog with their bare foot? This movie is similar to the Unsinkable Maggie Brown, because not only is this character determined to continue their success and fight the odds and swim upstream in a male-infested river of salmon that deals with diamonds. Not only that about this character, but the actress involved in this movie, the Unsinkable DemiMoore. And I just told you who we are.
The Movie Club movies.
And I no longer care about your ideas or your voice. I care about the voice of others that are more valuable to me and I care about. And I want to learn from or listen to and connect with. So I'm not going to scoop poop or be the poop scoop until I write this joke down. I'm the unsinkable JustinJustin, and this movie has the unsinkable DemiMoore. Diamond. Here's a plate to dispense your yogurt dispensing dog shit. Hobbs is in, and each has a mound of raw diamonds the size of a loaf of bread. And among the tabletops are carts of mounds of raw diamonds. There are bins on shelves and bins on tables, all ungraded, most likely uncut raw rocks of diamonds. I'm a little surprised to not see these bins or compartments that would keep some record of excavation or similar to archaeological record keeping. However, I understand this is not Indiana Jones or Dr. Alan Grant or Dr. Ellie Statler. Hobbs turns around, and the camera shows us all the way back to the back wall, where embedded into prints purple crushed velvet cushions of large diamonds, like Laura Quinn showed us at the cafe in the beginning of the movie. Hobbs has turned around, smiled, wiped his face from sweat, and pulled out his thermos. Meanwhile, the office monitor has taken 2 beats to hang up the phone. Laura takes a relieving breath. Remember, she made a phone call that helpfully distracted the snacking camera monitor, security guard, snack security guard. Laura has made her way to the service employee exit and is hiding behind some pillars, smoking a cigarette. Mr. Hobbs leaves still limping with his thermos. This movie has some tone of light changes, and the thermos looks a little different, but I don't know. I just don't want to be fooled. He makes eye contact with Laura, almost another silent confirmation. And in quick shots with the office monitor has come to Henry at the sign-out desk, and Henry has left to track down Mr. Hobbs, and asks Hobbs back inside. This is concerning. He shows him the way to a bathroom, toilet stall, and mentions, "I don't know what he eats." 2 muffins, a bag of biscuits, some eggs, and cigarettes. Yuck. Incredibly selfish to pull Mr. Hobbs back into this. Just clean up some shit, Cinderella. You will be glowing with diamond sneakers when you are finished. I just hope we can trust that Henry will confirm he brought Hobbs back in to clean a toilet. And when they check after the robbery, Hobbs came back in that night. That's suspicious. No, ask Henry. He asked Hobbs to clean the toilet. And I don't know. If guy code exists for this, that's on Henry. Or office monitor. After hours, you gotta manage your lunch. Don't eat coffee, prunes, and beans the night you have to work isolated. What a dummy, expecting others to clean up after him. Henry returns to his post at the sign-in desk, and Laura comes in. She crisscrosses with Mr. Hobbs at the desk. He's holding his thermos out, and they greet each other. Henry says, "Things are dull." Hobbs rounds the corner and out the door. He also didn't sign out, so he didn't sign in when he came back in. All of that is against policy. It's morning, and the vault is being opened for the day's work. Hobbs is emptying his thermos. A bunch of grime from coffee or rich tea into his sink. He has a dusty bottle of liquor and takes a drink for his marriage. We are back at the office, and the young executive from the beginning in Laura's office, he was quickly supportive of her, and we see he's running up the stairs as the group of jewel inspectors are making their way out of the office. He makes his way straight to Laura's office.
"The sorters have gone home."
And Laura, looking sharp, leaves her office. In the lobby desks, where the main group of executives, yes men, are all grouping. And Laura is concerned. Sir Milton arrives, and then steps quickly out the front door. The whole scene is lit by the interior of the Londi lobby, and it's glowing light blue and glacier white, which is causing a Star Wars prequel set design in its angular starkness. Laura is getting air in the ladies' room. A man is shouting for her to come out and briefing her on the way from the elevators to the office again. Security is flanking, and there is a tight leash on this hallway, and they brief her to not disclose the events she is witnessing today, and is passed off to a yes man as she enters the open vault, which is empty. And the bins are turned over, empty. The wall with Prince Purple crushed velvet cushions, empty. The stainless steel is cleared of any diamond, dirty socks, or used boxers. There is not one speck of dirty laundry in the vault, or any raw rock or gems. Picked clear. It's well done in, it does not give my belly a squirmish squeeze. Like, wow. Like, right now. Things were taken, and our hero Laura is right in the middle of it. Clifton Sinclair makes his way into the building, and behind him is a robot who looks like a man. A general above-average standard-looking, magazine handsome man. In comparison, the office monitor guy is the shape of a typical guy, lol. If this many stones were taken out of here, it would take many men and several vehicles. The detective remains in the hallway. Sir Milton has all the employees and is stating to remain private and business as usual. The detective name is Finch, and he is kinda like Rene Russo in Thomas Crown Affair. He is solving the loss of the insured investment, or what have you, and he is here from Clifton Sinclair. So this is quite a cast of characters. It's like if you bought a loaf of white bread, it could be sourdough, but that you took all the slices out and toasted them and maybe put them back in the bag. This is the vibe of our character cast. The toast bag is warm, and this movie is heating up, possibly. Don't panic. Clifton has always backed Londi, and Finch assures them they will find the diamonds, and the yes men are disagreeing. Don't panic. Laura goes to a window and sees workmen bringing heavy tools into the building. Mr. Hobbs is back. This movie will give me a panic attack at how much working, clocking in our characters are doing. It makes me feel like I'm supposed to be clocking in at some point during the production of this podcast. But what good would that do, Justin? Laura goes right up to Hobbs on a very public, very contemporary staircase to criticize Hobbs. What have you done? Things seem upside down. Right in front of Finch. Wild story editing because Hobbs came right off the street to a meeting with Finch, and we are just introduced, and he was just talking to a room of people. A whirlwind. Where is Henry? Ask me Friday. Finch greets Hobbs. Laura needs to meet Hobbs at a cafe. Laura leaves with sunglasses. No Henry. She walks into a gem of a cafe. She is apoplectic and rapidly speaking to Hobbs about the diamonds. You said the amount of a thermos. She said that in front of Finch at one point. Hobbs reassures her to stick to your routine and leaves her a piece of paper. This is where the diamonds are. She returns to the stairway at the offices, and Henry is there to direct her to Sir Milton's office. I have so many suspicions. In Milton's office, a man, Mr. Boyle, we casually watch walk into the building, is a representative of the person responsible for the possession of the diamonds and has this professional to communicate the terms. And is neutral, just a representative, and no info should be given to him. He presents the terms in an envelope and has to place it on the desk because Milton is unmovable, unbreachable. It's a frustrating move to the executive yes men, and Mr. Boyle leaves to take a call. In the envelope, Sir Milton reads a note, a ransom of sorts. Now available, a selection of uncut diamonds. Marketplace, £100 million sterling. Payable in 48 hours. Get a look at old Sir Milton's old stubby thumb holding the card in a tight focus. His stubby thumb at the top of the frame, 1 hour. We've been hijacked by a madman. No, that's just a contemporary show trending your release and stylization. You are more likely being hijacked by a man of D.B. Cooper or D.B. Sweeney's caliber. Mr. Boyle cannot be detained. He has merely told us all he knows and deliberately has no connections to the hijacker or hijackers. He comes back to the room after a phone call and leaves a small box and politely makes his exit. The actor playing Mr. Boyle is notable, young-looking, almost a character face of a Nicktoons. He has really circular eyes under comically neat glasses and has a pose, posture, and stature to John Mulaney. The actor is Jonathan Aries. He is a British stage actor who has worked on a lot of movies, especially stage-based narrative, and Benedict Cumberbatch's Sherlock Holmes, and a few American blockbusts, as well as Senator Jobol in Rogue One. The box left holds a large diamond, South African star. The camera catches Laura Quinn swallowing her words, almost. The room is tense. Africa is without a star in its south. Laura continues to look at the workers coming into the building from her office window as Finch enters to interview. He is working his way through personnel. She offers him a seat and accidentally slides papers off the chair, and regains her confidence and composure as they sit on modest chairs facing each other. She offers him a cigarette from a cigar-sized box. These are definitely signs of the times. Her being so meticulously faulty is a red flag for unprofessional. Finch lights her cigarette and he focuses in on her. He mentions she's a senior negotiator. She has been working there for 15 years. Would you say you have done well for yourself? You are unmarried. You are 38. I certainly hope that is not a crime, as she ashes her cigarette and crosses her legs. Her bare knees shows us she's crossing. I don't know if we are referencing what we are referencing. Why is this movie making me a 12-year-old again? What are these sexual miscues? It is Demi Moore as well, and if you know sexual thrillers of the early 90s, controversial, gorgeous primetime Demi Moore was next in line to cross her legs in those thrillers, behind Movie Club Movies' choice Sharon Stone, Denise Richards, Neve Campbell, Madonna, Rose McGowan, Ashley Judd, Sherilyn Fenn, and Asia Argento. This dude reminds me of Nick Fresha looking up Joanne Valinari's dating history. Fresha and Finch. Finch informs us that the Star of Africa is still in their possession because the robbery may not have been motivated by money, and taking the fourth largest cut diamond in the world may have symbolism. South African Star. Do you know of any enemies of London Dye? I think Finch noticed, and Laura noticed, her nerves caused her hands to shake a bit as he lit her cigarette. As he begins to leave after their short interview, he asks about Mr. Hobbs. He's jovial, and yes, I've asked him to fix my radiator. Hey, I would want Michael Caine to fix my radiator as much as the next guy, but I'm not going around gossiping in his ear in front of the insurance detective. He's one of the night janitors. He must have been an ABZ listener. Laura is holding one of her hands behind her hips, I guess because she is showing nervousness. She nervously immediately sits down, and because he closes the door and leaves, Finch does not see. Laura is now setting her watch while looking at the lobby. As Sir Milton is walking out, surrounded by attorneys, Laura is walking alongside an alley of the executive, yes men. I think she spoke to this guy at the fancy party, Jameson? He mentions quickly in the tongue of the times that the investigation is offered by Clifton Sinclair, and Laura calls his financial relief as the ransom that is needed to rectify the financial chaos pressing our diamond world here, and obviously a short discussion of Laura's job leads us to the conclusion of financial uncertainty. Everyone's job is at stake, and Laura strategically adds that she would like to assist Finch on his investigation, with the reasoning being Clifton is untrustworthy and her job is on the line. She would like to assist in the solidification of their circumstances. This is no meet cute. Laura is paired with Finch in the following scene, and he is headed to a meeting, walking through the hallways that we already have explored, and he is mentioning to a too eager Laura that there's security monitors recently installed. The monitors have a delay, has been made aware to Finch. These are not very secure. Every 60 seconds, each corridor is left totally unobserved for 1 full minute. Oh darn! Time enough to leave undetected. He has keys for the elevator, calling it a lift, and he is informing us that this is the single point of entrance. When Laura walked in to meet Finch, he was in a meeting room we have seen earlier, and the walls have illuminated maps, and several other suited men are shuffling paperwork and moving files around. He has now led her to the vault, and the hallway is full of the workers Laura saw from her office window. Their drills are being used to dig into the walls, and such to see where the criminals tunneled in. Steel, 3-inch thick, floor to ceilings, no forced entry. Laura adds they must have known the code. This is Finch's theory, and he becomes ADR at one point. In my opinion, it cheapens our experience. Yeah, we've definitely followed these two. We seem to have followed many of these suited men on their small tasks, and Laura has asked Finch to be a part of the investigation. So for this last moment, we've followed them two, and it's interesting that now we just go to ADR. It just throws it off, and everybody looks so sharp, Just let them talk into the camera. Finch has big prick energy as they speak just inside the vault. Laura is asking what his conclusions are, and his line is well spoken, but he's such a prick. Isn't it obvious what conclusions I've arrived at, Miss Quinn? A woman of your intelligence, most sure you could guess. First off, shout out to intelligent women. Second, Finch kinda mumbles. It is time for a meeting upstairs, and they both walk into the dust and soot of the work zone. Laura keenly sees the building's blueprints laying out with a ladder or whatever, and she places them into a folder she's carrying. Finch is dusting his suit off, and she is giving him a judging eye. A check is being written. If I was quizzed on what the check says, it's $5,000 in the digit panel, and in the written line, the word £1,000,000. Also, the date, if I had to answer now, it says 1985. I am not intending to be dramatic, but someone has terrible penmanship, or I am seeing scribbles as a Rorschach test. In that case, write the check for 74K, and I will be on my way.
Movie Club Movies Podcast, hit the ground running.
An arm hands the check to Sir Milton. The check is for $5 million and is half of the money promised. I think Clifton is writing the check, and if more is found out about the missing diamonds, the other half will be given. Much like a noir detective's payment, and Sir Milton is steamed. Money is no replacement for diamonds, and he shakenly pours a drink. His voice reminds me of Emperor Palpatine. Finch is theorizing the code was found in Sir Milton's residence during the party, and a team is moving to dust for prints. Finch is being called out for also theorizing it was political, as a couple handfuls would have provided substantial financial sustenance. Who among us would have political motivations? Who is connected to the Russians? Okay. Finch announces there was one name, and he does such a dramatic pause and a big breath, and he even straightens up, like he is Big Ben before striking a chime at tea time. Boing. I am ready for this, though. Let's hear what this asshole has to say. Oliver Ashton Croft, arrested at an Oxford demonstration for Marxists, and he mumbles. But Oliver is the dude from the patio at the party when Laura took a breather, and this guy came out of the shadows to chat.
I think he is Sir Milton's son. I've said that before, but I'm reviewing quickly.
And he is so classy defending himself. That was 2 decades ago, and just because I don't agree with every operation going on at Londonderry doesn't make me a communist or a thief.
James Caan awakens.
Sir Milton erupts. That is enough. 1 hour, 10 minutes. And truly Sir Milton is a mountain lay dormant, because he is fueled here and begins to rumble against Clifton, who he calls Sinclair. He has a heavy coating of an accent and truly a throat made of river rocks, as he intimidates Sinclair. Sinclair has pulled a card making Milton's son suspicious, and with that held against Londonderry, Sinclair's bank will not insure Londonderry fully. I am paraphrasing here to make this digestible to us Movie Club Movies pedestrians. The bank not fully insuring Londonderry creates an incredible vulnerability, leaving Sir Milton to string together insults at Sinclair. He says he has an ill-gotten fortune. To this Sinclair replies, Milton is a de facto dictator running a diamond mine, slave nation. Slave nation. Wow, what a modern notion. And wow, Sinclair's face in this movie can be priceless. When he arrives at the party previously, he has a square fish face. And now, kind of rising an upper hand on Milton, he has a side-sliding, fishy smirk. And he adds a cigar. He looks like an old man in the newspaper comics. Millionaire Magoo of the funny pages. Sir Milton continues his villainous exposition to clear up that they pay for security through insurance, and when a day will come, Sinclair will come through to deliver in response to years of accumulative wealth. Sinclair knows this and continues to sit in his fishy, tight pants. Milton says, What nothing? What have ya? And I'll crush you, Sinclair. This is similar to Biff threatening Marty McFly. I almost said Martin McFly. And then I will piss on your fucking grave. Something like that. With Sinclair intake a cigar puff, we transition to see Mr. Hobbs exhaling a cigarette and tossing the butt in the water of an underground tunnel, a subway for boats at the Pirates Ride. And if the Pirates Ride doesn't have its set dressings yet, Laura steps cautiously and looks Mia Farrow with a hat and heavy coat. She asks, How did you get them out? And who's behind this? Hobbs is rambling, a riddle of science, diamond facts. It's the artist, and it can set an electric charge. It will remain dry out of water and his only enemy is another diamond. Laura is pressing further. The diamonds are worthless. Londi is the world's only buyer. Hobbs replies about the ransom. Laura informs there is no money to pay it, and she is getting in his face. She has no doubt Finch will find out they're connected. Damn, Laura, why did you talk to Hobbs in front of Finch? Hobbs won't tell, and insists he's sticking to his plan, and she should also. He says they will pay, because it's precisely what they're insured for. He also pulls her back in, seemingly, offering, are you really going to turn yourself in, after laughing at men's jokes, sacrificing opportunity and love, just to give up on this? We are in a sticky, stinky situation. Mr. Hobbs shuffles when he walks, and all the pebbles below them are shuffling also. Again, it looks like concrete structures stream in water, possibly along the urban landscape of the city. Shuffle, shuffle, pebbles, pebbles. Very well, I will find the diamonds on my own. Hobbs smiles, as if he is her father, teaching her an unknown lesson. I do not like it. Finch enters her office while she is closely researching the building's blueprints. It seems suspicious, but I would be impressed and stoked to work with her because she's proactive and using the resources readily available, along with the team that brought the project to life. Anyways, just my observation. Finch is here to take fingerprints, and we get a fun mechanism to cause sexual tension and raise suspicious intentions, as Finch holds Laura's hands, pressing her fingertips into ink and then onto the official sheet. Their banter is world class, and Laura is leading the ball busting, with comments about his divorces, adding, did she get tired of all of your investigating? And he replies as if he's Gary from Game Night. Yes. Yes, she did. Yes, she did. I've been there, buddy. Go get him, Tiger. JK, LOL. He does consider Oliver, as a prime suspect. He does have the means to get into the vault more than most. But is he ambitious enough? She wipes the ink off of her fingers with his handkerchief, and he responds with a request that she come downstairs and assist him for 5 minutes. She hands him the dirty handkerchief as they walk out of the office, and he smells the handkerchief in a major way. Now I want you to tell me if this man is lying, Mr. Hobbs. As she enters this war room-looking office from before, it must be Finch's HQ. Hobbs is sitting there. Finch has a recorder, and he becomes more sinister in my opinion. Hobbs was being questioned about Tuesday night. And let me throw this out there. Finch was interviewing Hobbs and then got up, left to get Laura's fingerprints, and now we are back. And Hobbs has just been sitting, waiting? The questioning is questionable, and also includes a focus on what Hobbs reads, in contrast to communist readings, as well as criticizing his time cleaning and polishing the marble floors. He saved the vault floor for last. Finch to me looks silly because he is making a point of how dumb it is to go all out on human service to clean luxury items, and this man among millions in his same position are incredibly poor. Sure, he would want the diamonds, but he is not a communist, is he? Someone brings info that Finch needs to discuss immediately, and Finch sternly schedules to talk to Laura later. Buzz off. Finch turns off the recorder and leaves. Laura again immediately jumps down Hobbs' throat. I may have left fingerprints at Milton's home office. We saw her use a napkin consistently, so I think you're good. Laura suspects Hobbs is a part of a group of radicals, and taking the diamonds wasn't worth it, because they are both going to jail. She can negotiate if she knows where the diamonds are. Sometimes, to do something right, you have to do something just as wrong. Hobbs continues to be concerned with whether they have found the diamonds. As for his cause, it's worth 100,000 lifetimes in jail. For his cause, Miss Quinn. Michael Caine is really warmed up on the days he shot these interior, third act. He's got an iconic youthful swagger and strong deliveries. However, I'm missing some words, and earlier he was such a rusty old janitor. He hopes he inspires Laura Quinn to look beyond these marble walls, and knows that there's a remarkable world out there, And that is true, similar to Joanna Volinari. Laura Quinn stays in her routine, has gone to work endlessly, and we know the endgame on her product is not so humane. Here, I am rooting for the underdog. However, her company's culture, which sets the tone for most of the world's financially, and would be the foot the dogs are under. As well as, these companies have employees that are unfairly underpaid and missing the mark on live-work balance. Certainly, Laura falls into a category of doing well, just mundane, educated, self-motivated, but oblivious, unmoving, unengaged, ignorant, to the imbalance of her company's ethics. All this in the context of, if she really is more cold than I am reading into her character, also, she may not have shown she is plugged into the general society, and as I think this over, I'm concluding she may be more robotic than I am perceiving initially. It is tough. I'm trying to balance that when we saw her staring away in her own living space, was she thinking about the ethics and humane justice of what she was doing and what her company was doing? Or is she just robotically going to work and she literally is systematically just like, what am I doing with my life? I haven't met anyone or any relationship for many years, and what am I doing? I'm not moving up the ladder. I don't know just yet what her mentality and inner thoughts are. I want to go on one side and think she is weighing out the ethics of what she is doing and what her company and work is doing. But at this point, I don't know again. Had the tables been turned on our buddy Laura? Hobbs ends saying, I never intended on including you. Laura has a dark, gloomy view of London. From her office, lightning strikes. The fingerprints from the Home Office are matching to Laura Quinn, and they have large photos of the janitor at the dog track. Laura breaks into Hobbs' janitor locker. Does she find his iPod with the ABZ podcast downloaded to stream? Does the iPod have a Patreon app? She wants to know how he did it. Michael Caine was also in The Prestige, which was the film 3 years prior to this. Clifton Sinclair walks down a wood hallway, talking to a man who seems to be his superior, and he entitles Sinclair to make something happen with Finch, who seems unreliable. Sinclair is working on it. Fish breath. 1 hour, 20 minutes. Sir Milton is drunkenly leaving the building with 2 assistants, and he mutters an epic threat. Contact the syndicate members. A meeting is tonight. Tell them if they do not come here with their wallets open to pay me everything they owe me, I will dedicate my remaining years on this earth to ruining every last one of them. Everyone is so emotional, it's just business. Tell them that, word for word. He walks as thunder claps, and his shoes scuff like diamond on marble floors. Sinclair dials a rotary phone. London Evening News. News desk. Laura opens a door where she sees Finch standing. He says he needs some air. He invites her for a drink and she smiles. They leave in the rain. Champagne is poured at a nearby table. They have cigarettes at the bar and sit in wire-framed bar chairs, which I have sat on in the past, and they are very uncomfortable. Finch praises her, calls her a maverick. She says her mother advised her that beating the boys would make her unpopular. Can you imagine? Very contemporary. Finch continues comparing the two. We are outsiders, loners. We can achieve, but would it add up all the hours of efforts we put into it? And I like that concept. I'm someone who works hard, and it's hard to see what I'm earning, or we. However, I think Finch is well paid, so cut the crap, Jack. Laura responds absolutely nothing. They cheers. A doorman comes into an office the next day, so here's a good example of, as soon as we get a taste of the outside world, the common world, Hobbes says the remarkable world, we go right back into the interior offices of Lundi. Although it is executive bullpen, a circle of most powerful, and the press is downstairs. What do they want? The guy actually says. To the press at the door in the rain, Sir Milton is not in this building. And behind him, along the stairwells, in his drunken diamond stumble, he drops his glass of booze and has a heart attack. He falls to the marble floors. The press comes from outside to gather all around him. He looks like a Darth Vader when Luke strikes him down. Recently, I have had so many Star Wars references, and I don't know if it's because I'm coming off weeks after the Christmas break. I don't know what's going on, but some of these movies, you can't help but see major influences, and why not? This is contemporary. Pull this guy's helmet off of him. That's his face? Oh, someone call a doctor. Back at the bar, Finch squarely asks, "Are you going to tell me how you did it? I wish I could help you, but I'm really not that clever. You could have made a deal. Do I look so diabolical?" That's Laura replying to Finch, and it could be a nice clip. We have a photo of you at the racetrack with Hobbs. He's mistaken. She never gambles. Her fingerprints match ones from the home office. By midnight, we should have a conclusive results. Oh, buddy, we are going to midnight with this? And he tags, "My fee is 5% of recovered goods." These shitheads she's surrounded with. She understands his game. He presses on. "I am waiting for you to reveal." And they both are informed Sir Milton has had a heart attack, and the robbery has been leaked to the press. Finch gets up to meet back at the building. A meeting is called. Laura is upset and heads to the ladies' room. And that's interesting because that would be wild. You're a pretty chill person, and you've just done some sort of robbery that gave your boss a heart attack. And she's a vulnerable person. That is an interesting dynamic. She is crying and gaining her strength. She reaches into her purse for a handkerchief. And remember that one handkerchief? Not the inky one, the one she wrapped her diamond earrings in? She grabs that wad, and a diamond falls into the sink. She unscrews the pipe underneath and recovers her diamond. She gets an idea. Movie Club movie listeners, are you following along? It's getting real sparkly. She unscrews the pipe underneath and recovers her diamond. She gets an idea and makes her way to the building. I hope she reattached the plumbing. She is in the janitor's supply closet. She grabs a flashlight. Where's Henry Bean? And before we go any further, any idea of what's going on? That sparkly moment I'm talking about? She opens a manhole in the middle of a back street. These locations we have seen before. The street near the building. And let me throw out of here the stream and concrete they met at. Where was that? If she wants to find the diamonds, and her theory is he could have flushed them, so to say, would she check in on that place? Anyways, those details and the Henry detail are going to eat at me, because I am thinking that they are the storytelling tool being used in one way. However, they are a tool being used in another way. Like, Henry is just there to greet, to show that she's cold and robotic, focused on only working at this unethical company. She's down the utility ladder in heels. Remember that scene in Goonies? Laura Quinn, you Goonie. She's in ankle deep of sewer water. She's taking us along. Slime glazed sewer walls. No turtles, no graffiti, no diamonds. But Hobbs appears. Clever girl. Filthy, but clever. She relays that Sir Milton is dead, and she's going back to tell on Hobbs' involvement taking the diamonds. He pulls a gun. The deadline for the ransom is in 1 hour. We're at 1 hour, 30 minutes. Just a note. If DemiMoore wasn't such a dynamic, burning hot match of the early 80s and onto the 90s, would she have made a pretty good April O'Neil? Or is that overstepping pop culture boundaries? Hobbs says he's guarding the treasure of Aladdin from someone as smart as you, Miss Quinn. They won't pay you. You are insane to think they would. So her angle is this is just one man, which...
For as long as we are into this movie, I was open to knowing this involved a group of radical supports, and we don't exactly know how he got all those diamonds into drains in less than one night, because we are not yet explained if he or who took several days or years to flush the diamonds, like Escape from Alcatraz. That movie shows you the details of a sneaky escape.
Laura sees a chance and whacks the gun away with her flashlight, and carefully prances away through the slosh. It's a very adventurous and fantastic shot from the angle of the slop. Slop perspective. She does eventually fall, which I thought maybe she wouldn't. And this is quite a different movie. and we are in a setting I didn't see coming. I noted the stairwell at the party thinking, we won't make it out into anything remarkable like London's sewers. She braces herself after her fall on a concrete block, and there she finds a large diamond. Hobbs is villain talking. You remind me of my late wife, once she got her teeth on something. Was she a zipper? He tells a common story of her falling ill and not being admitted to a hospital stay until she was far too sick. And he and his wife spoke with every administrator I think to the top, who was Clifton Sinclair. And his wife was not an emergency, so she passed away. In the sewer, the two sit and talk about the pitfalls of the healthcare system. Sinclair used monies to insure Lundi and shortchanged the healthcare for London's underprivileged, which is so clearly explained here. But we came all the way here for this? Is Laura your ally, Hobbs?
Are you using her and knowing she will change after she serves her consequences for the bigger message of the criminal act?
Is Hobbs manipulating Laura? Sinclair enters a smaller office with some executives. All look similar, and Oliver is in there. What he has done is looked into the London Evening News releasing the story by Clifton Sinclair. They own 75% of London Evening News, and I think Sinclair has just breached a contract, so they want him to drop the charges against Oliver. And I think they are suing him for the ransom money, possibly. Laura is sitting on edge of muck with turds smeared on her forehead. She asks a decent question. Did you wait 15 years for the right moment to punish one man? And Hobbs is laid back smiling, in a load of crap. What if Hobbs has a muffin in his apron and starts snacking? Also, the office monitor eating the eggs and muffins, he jammed the toilet the night of the heist. These two are sitting in that junk right now. Remember when we talked about scientific refuse in the crawl episode? Ooh wee, this is a level up. Watch your steps. Also, we still don't know how Hobbs got all this down the drain. I mean, we are so late in this movie, and the room was extra large with diamonds, and Hobbs was struggling to push his shopping cart across a Target parking lot. You know what I'm saying? Patience, they say, is a virtue. Okay, and fortune favors the bold. I like that quote. Where are we going here? Okay, when does your memoirs come out, Hobbs? You're such a mind. Fish Face Sinclair has on his strangest fish face as he backs out of an office door. Hobbs continues to say, he took from me the one thing I loved. I dislike when characters say a woman or their partner is a thing. She's the best thing. I only think that's flattering when it's face to face, like it's clearly genuine, in the moment. They are right in front of you, instead of speaking like your romantic partner is a favorite coat on the hanger at home. Was she as good as that time you found money on the street and bought ice cream? Because that's a thing you may have loved the most also. And I get it. You're quickly saying, I love that one thing in my life. You're just trying to describe quickly. Or when you say, hey guys, and there's a mix of people. It's a written movie, and we've been surrounded by diamonds. Let's get a few things correct here. And remember, Susan is not a green jacket. Laura, in the sewer, clarifies. You did this for her? I did this for me. Okay, Hobbs, how did you do it? Where is David Bowie as Tesla? Trigger alert. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Sinclair shoots himself. Hobbs has a gun pointed on Laura. That gun has fecal matter all over. And in it, Laura has it figured out. And our movie shows us what Hobbs did after entering the Vault of Diamonds. Around this time, I think we've approached our sidewalk ending. Sidewalk ending. Hobbs begins pulling the mounds of rocks into his janitor bin, using his arms and hands. Just like quinoa, he does it masterfully. I really saw some rocks bounce out, and one was on the tray as he throws them to the side. He does, however, clear the tabletops and bins as he dumps and pours into his janitor bin, which is big, but it's as big as 2 carry-on rolling luggage, and truly as big as 1 storefront garbage can. I mean, nothing spectacular, and I'm talking quinoa amount of diamonds. Have you ever tried to handle quinoa and also talk to your best friend or something while you're doing a dinner party? It's difficult. He is keeping on time, like was the plan, of course, and he's got the stopwatch out. And what I wasn't aware of, that he could do this all night. I thought he was doing one trip because, like Ocean's 11 and James Bond and any other heist movie, the trip to the vault is usually a one-time thing. So, for a few hours, he is running diamonds back to a janitor's supply closet and draining the diamonds, which is only illustrating that this is a massive amount of diamonds. And I really did think they just had like a glitch for 60 seconds. Okay, so that's when you have to do this. And that you could leave the vault and play it cool, and then that was it. And of course, that's a lot of money in diamonds. But he did this over, I don't know, the 8-hour shift or what have you, or the 16 years he worked there. Try rinsing cottage cheese down a sink, any sink. When you shred carrots, go ahead and throw some down the drain. In 1955, he's throwing rocks down a private company's janitor supply sink. Okay, come on. I flubbed when it came to the amount of time he would be able to enter the vault, which he is struggling along. Oliver and his entourage are sorting out the ransom, and they seem to be able to pass along to our Mr. Boyle, who we now know was hired by Mr. Hobbs. Boyle hands over the location of the diamonds. Oliver reads the note card and requests security be called. The card is blank, Mr. Boyle. It means the diamonds are not going to be returned. Mr. Hobbs continues his heist for us to see. He ties on a special fabric pipe, and now this is what I'm talking about. At 1 hour 37 minutes, he is eating a cheese sandwich inside the vault and returning the stones of African rivers to the stream of society as we see the slush of rock flush down the pipe and into the sewer, where we are today with Laura and Hobbs. So I like the artistic visual poetry here, and it's rare when movies close the circle back to the opening credits of a film. He is eating, looking at the wall of large stones, and begins picking them off like fruit, like grapes or tomatoes on a vine. The South African star was pushed down his drain. The South African star was pushed down this drain. It was dangerously large for this operation, and when he was called back to the toilet of the overstuffed office monitor, Henry shows him the toilet, and through the doo-doo, oh yeah, we go there, he sees the South African star clogging the poop chute. Life is for the living. It's there for the taking. Okay, another calendar zinger. Hobbs is holding a gun, as if he's going to shoot, and Laura says, "You don't have it in you." He pulls the trigger, and it's empty. It was never loaded. It was never in there. It doesn't matter. It's all done now. And he walks away into the muck. She walks into, I guess, the room he was guarding, and we see a mound of glowing diamonds under a drainways. Water is falling all around like Goonies or like Dark Knight. And imagine where these came from and where we are. And Laura is relieved. Are you laughing? I'm laughing. She could relieve herself if she wanted. She's in the sewer. I mean, also, she has debris smeared on her forehead. She may have questionable ethical career choices, but she's a swamped, smeared hero like Rambo or Donatello. Service people are carrying away boxes of diamonds back to the surface. Hobbs is a suspect. Laura sits on stairs along the sewerway. I cannot believe she is still there. Can't we get her home? This person has been in contact with fecal matter. It's on her face. It's written all over her face. Finch approaches. He questions her inspiration for finding Hobbs in the sewer, and she apologizes for losing Finch's finder's fee. And he worms his way into pinpointing her fingertips on the opera glasses, not the safe. Listeners, remember those opera glasses? She starts to whisper, and I am not having it. You don't have to say anything, Laura. Just let him get lost in his thoughts about it. He stops her from talking by putting his finger on her lips. People, we have a young woman covered in sewer goo. Can we give her some space? He can't bear the thought of her spending her life behind bars. She can assist in the investigation with her rounded experience. And as he walks away, Laura pulls out the large diamond she has in her pocket. She's holding it out in the open. This is a diamond-obsessed atmosphere. What are you doing? She holds it close to her heart and places it back in her pocket. No one saw. Oliver opens the next scene by opening the vault, which is again full of poo diamonds. And they are back to being piled on tables and set in bins. We also see some cataloging, which who knows how that was resurrected. Our table of executives are looking at bins of stones, and Oliver is being narrated by Laura as taking over from his father and exceeding. After she was passed over again for the manager promotion, which is staggering, she resigned. They never found Hobbs, she also explains, and they concluded he acted alone, which he kind of did. She just found a paper, which he had found earlier, and just didn't act on it. We see Hobbs' wife's grave, which at one point had a few yellow flowers. This viewing, the entire grounds are covered with the same yellow flowers. Hobbs can really limp around and get things done. It's damn impressive. Can you imagine? He's out at the grave with a stopwatch, timing himself, putting yellow flowers on the grounds. Cassie, our 25-year-old journalist from the beginning. Forgive me for being sensational. What happened to the money? Mr. Hobbs and I never spoke again, but a letter informed me a deposit had been made in my name to a Swiss bank account. The sum of 100 million pounds. Everything. Laura continues with a smile. And that's where my real story begins. Your article is titled, Women Who Led. And she hands over a floppy, flat, calendar-sized package and adds, I hope you can inspire others. You can contact me, and walks away, out of the cafe. The package is a screenplay, a manuscript, Awakening by Laura Quinn. I never intended this to happen, but the burden of Hobbs' money sent me into a different direction. And we see an overlay of scientists looking through microscopes and a check being written. The manuscript continues Laura's narration, along with thoughtful but budget-friendly photoshops of Laura aging while traveling and helping the communities of the world of Africa, or everything, and helping the communities of the world or Africa, or everywhere. And that looks kind. And Cassie is reading that Laura spent every penny of Hobbs' money on giving to these causes and community, and she has the diamond, but she spent her time spending the money, and Cassie is out of the cafe, which is called Tweed's Cafe. Cassie looks for Laura as the narration concludes. The diamond I keep for a rainy day. It perhaps may be the last piece of vanity I have. And we see an isolated shot of Laura walking down a pale street to what would have been Londi. And Brubeck plays us out. And that's the end of that movie, and I think it's interesting that it is a fun watch to find out that I think they pepper us with nice enough dialogue, making us maybe think that she spent her time in prison with the story she's about to tell. And she didn't get pulled in on this criminal act and spend her time in prison. She actually made away with this money and spent it on these various causes. I would say this movie doesn't enrich us with the heart of Laura, but maybe that's a sign of her times, that she had to be so robotic and cold, much like a diamond or rock. But also we see these ending acts that she was invested in kindness, and she saw the ethics being weighed in her living room, perhaps. That's just my perspective and conclusion, and I'm not trying to direct anybody on any of these things. I thought it was a really fun movie. I thought it was an interesting movie. And again, I am here to release this to support such a talent as Demi Moore. I also found out more info on Demi Moore by listening to several podcasts, but one of them, Glamorous Trash, which revolves around checking out celebrity memoirs and expanding from there. They did a great episode on Demi Moore, which opened my eyes to her life as I was watching her on VHS. And also, I was a bit too young, but at the same time, old enough to see and understand media coverage on her Vanity Fair cover in the 90s, which was very controversial for the time. And I was even like, for what? Women are amazing. People are amazing. Pregnancy can be amazing. And she has every right to be creative. Plus, it's very easily said that she worked with the photographers and creative team to create such subject matter, as most entertainers do. And she was damn near hanged for such a piece of content, which now is like on the face of everything. People in bikinis, in all types of bodies, in all types of situations and scenarios, whether criminal or fashionable. It didn't matter to me then. It doesn't matter to me now. I support strong women, intelligent women, and women in STEM. And I don't necessarily know if this counts as that, but it got very scientific with the way these diamonds and rocks are processed in terms of when they hit the table. Definitely is highlighting a very unethical industry, and I don't think that's anything new to listeners. But the involvement of Demi Moore working on this character, I did find interesting, and the sets or backgrounds surrounding her were quite thoughtful and very unique for a movie done this well in contemporary times. Thanks for listening, and check us out with more episodes coming soon. Down the drain.
Poo poo. Wee wee. D-double-O, D-double-O.
The Movie Club movie. Please be kind. Please be kind. I want to thank you. I want to thank you. I want to thank you for your effort. I want to thank you. I want to thank you. I want to thank you for your effort. I want to thank you. I want to thank you. I want to thank you for your effort. Podcast is written, researched, edited, and produced by JustinJustin. Music made by JustinJustin. Supported and shout out goes to Movie Club Movies, listeners and supporters. Letterboxd is a great place to start with the podcast, which is also on YouTube in full effect. Follow the hashtag TMCMS 2011 to 2025 and beyond.
The Movie Club movie.
Please be kind. Please be kind.